Hello, everyone. It's so grateful to be with you and to share this video, and I hope you all enjoyed it. I was just amazed by her joy and her openness, and in fact, I want to show you. I have two books. And when I had heard about that interview, I kind of dug around my library, and I remembered I had this one called this is written by Kat Adamson, and it's called Sailor Bob. And it was really good. She goes through different. She goes through the each letter of the alphabet, and she talks about different subjects that relate to that. And it was really good. And the other one I found was called One Essence, and that's by Sailor Bob. And both of them had meant, clearly had meant a lot to me. So I just wanted to mention that. And overall, when I was listening to the whole recording several times, it what jumped out at me was it made me think of all of you in so many different ways. For example, her joy, the joie de vivre. It just made me think of Sandy. I mean, you're smiling right now. You just could feel that joy just coming through, and seeing how all of you brought out so many of the things she was talking about. It was, oh, Indigo's not here, but when she talked about how life supports us, life is always, supporting us, and that just, resonated me with Indigo, and even Cindy, at the end when she talked about how she does everything for free, she doesn't charge anything, and she just loves that to give. And that just, made me just think of you and all of you in so many different ways. I know, Bill, when she talked about, the being present, and living just, how living now, just so in so many ways, all of you came through for me when I was listening to that. And just some of the highlights, oh, it also made me think of the lilies of the field, how they grow. She just seemed to show forth that whole living so spontaneously. And and both of them had such incredible stories. I mean, it was just amazing how she was, and somewhere I had read about her a little more about her. She was, an officer, and amazing, a woman, first of all. And I'm not sure if anybody else knows, it was Poland or Scandinavia where she's from. I'm not sure, but she had quite an incredible story about becoming an officer in the Navy. And then the fact that Sailor Bob too had that background is just, life is just, unfolds in just wonderful, incredible ways. And let me see. I just love her, theme of non-doership. No person, life is doing it all. Let me see. And how she herself, with her incredible story, how the image, those two contrary images that she had of herself, just, she realized that they were just images, and then how important it is that, how our thinking can distort our whole joy and our whole presence. So that was revelatory. So let me see, before I open it up. And it was incredible, the age difference, to how, time is artificial as well. That was so cool. There were just amazing things, all that, but just it was her, the way she kind of presented it. She was about, just the idea of being, and there's no person there. And I loved how she corrected Jonathan many times, because he always would go back to speaking about a person, and there's no one there. It's just happening, which, we're so programmed to think that way. Oh, and the final thing I wanted to bring up was at the end when she talked about how the brilliance of life, that it includes everything, and it includes the stories. It includes this experience of being a separate, believing in it as being a separate self, but how brilliant that is to experience all of it. That's all life expressing, and it's all good. So I think that was the crux of it. So I sure love to hear highlights that anybody else had. There is a piece that's about 6.5 minutes that Cindy has on, she speaks about omnipresence, omniscience, and what was it? Yeah, and omniscience. Yeah, the three things. And so at some point you might enjoy hearing that. So I'll just open it up if anybody would. Thank you. Cindy, thank you.
That answered one question, whether or not you were willing to see the raised hand. So thank you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, number one, I almost didn't care what she had to say. In some ways, it was sort of like when we listened to the Buddhist nun, the essence of her experience with truth was there, and it just felt good to be in her presence. And I've become more and more in tune with that. It just felt good to be with her, to listen to her, to like I would love to just take a long walk on a beach and just be in her presence. It didn't matter what she said. That being said, we've spoken in this meeting quite a bit off and on about the paradoxical nature of this journey. And somehow she did that really well for me
Mm.
in the speaking of non doership and the truth of the ground of our being. And that's where she's speaking from now, right? But from that space in her telling of Sailor Bob's story and their story together, there were a lot of decisions or seeming decisions or chaos or drama or life that seems to be needing to be fixed and the seeming bad decisions. And also, even, and I've heard it from my A friends so often, how when he went on the search for his higher power, right? She's like, I can't name how many different times he got baptized, or confirmed in different, he did it all. So like the idea of the doings that sit as part of this journey of non-doing, she communicated that in a way that just, it really has informed me, um, and it touched me in how, my current journey is mine, no one else's. And how often is there this belief here that there is another doing something that needs correction, which was such an interesting thing to come out of her conversation. Um, but it did. And I think it was because she told a story that had a lot, like it could be a movie, really, really easily, right? He's such a colorful character. And the way she touched on the drama between him and his first wife and the comings and the goings and the getting back togethers and the breaking up and the sexual scandals in India and the sneaking out of the one ashram to hang out with the other ashram and messing it all up anyway and coming into AA and leaving it all sounds like a great um so I loved how the one sat on top of the other and that's where I am.
Thank you. That was,
Thank you for doing this. Thank you for saying yes. I would love for, eventually all of us to take a turn leading these, picking these videos and leading these conversations. Yeah.
thank you, Cindy. Bill, what's up?
I I just rekindle listening to you because I had a similar kind of reaction. And I think I finally understand the meaning of the word transmission. When I first heard Ram Dass, not Ram Dass, Tom Dass, talk about that, I intellectually, yes, but no more and more. It is that transmission that it just comes through the airwaves of space. I just I feel it more and more. I love everything I've read about because it's like revisiting an old friend that you maybe lost touch with. The boys, just when you see him again, it just like lights you up. And that's what it was with Bob. And Kat was just, to me, she just embodied him. She was just living out, putting nice words, and I could understand her much better than old crusty Bob. He just, he was like an old bump on a log, and it didn't matter. He wasn't saying it for anybody else. He was just speaking truth. And that I loved. I loved. He wasn't trying to convert anybody. He was just, I just loved it. So thank you, Melanie. And I loved your enthusiasm. Like a little girl, you just were just eating it up. So I wouldn't mind being her shadow. Yeah, cats. Thank
Yeah.
you. Oh, and I have one quick question. Cindy, uh, I love getting your ticket. Oh, man, look at that. You just like my dog. I used to say, Nugget. And he'd be ready for whatever. Yesterday's session was not taped, was it? That's too bad. There's so many people on there. I would have loved to marinate. Talk about that. Like Regis, it's so many different people. Can't we just do something and recreate that? Because I'd love to just,
We've commented to the Wednesday meeting is the oldest of all the meetings. And every time someone's invited me to record it, it feels like, why would I record like a Thanksgiving table with all my best friends? And I also say, if now is the only moment that ever exists, then why am I recording an experience like that?
I know. I just like reliving all my moments.
Yeah. We have 6 hours a week, and 4 of those 6 hours are recorded.
You do a great job. Yep, yep. What's wrong with right now? Nothing.
What's wrong with right now, Ron?
Yeah.
Yes, nothing. Hi, everyone. Melanie, thank you so much for recommending this. I too, as I sat and listened, I just loved her more and more and more as the time went on, and by the end, I just really felt like it was a very special transmission, as we've used that word so far. And, I love the title of that book, What's Wrong with Now Unless You Think About It. And that has been uh, transformed into something that I can remember for me with the same flavor. And I've been using all as well, except when I think about it. And it is such a useful tool that I've been keeping that around with me. And when the mind starts kind of going off into the future thinking or past thinking, I just say all is well until I think about it. And thought drops just immediately in that recognition that none of that is happening right here, right now. And it's been such a useful tool for me. Um, I, like was said before, thinking brings us out of the present moment, and I loved her explanation about the value of the present moment, about slowing down, slow down. I'm not sure I could hear that enough, and for me, what occurred to me was like, yeah, slow down, allow the thoughts to pass, and if it's sticky thought, then maybe there's a little inquiry there that could be done. Whether it's the simple, for whom is this thought arising, or if it's even stickier, maybe a root cause inquiry could be in order at that time, but to use thinking again as signals, as a tool, but to not get too caught up in it. I love the stories about him meeting some of the gurus, I mean, it's just so great how all of this is intertwined. I just love the synchronicities of it all. And you had pointed, Melanie, at the end, she spoke about enlightenment, and she was really focusing on the lightening of our frequency and nature, and that is evident as this heart opens more and more. There is a much lighter sense going on. She pointed out that the absence of I is the liberation. And that's something I'm still marinating with for sure, to see how that fits here. And I liked her saying, we're all awake now. There's no way you can't be aware right now. You're not asleep now. Every time I just bring myself back, it's like that recognition again. I may have been all caught up in the householder duties, but with just a shift, of identification. It could all is well right now, you know? So I very much enjoyed the talk and looking forward to hearing more from her too, listening to the things that you've brought today, Melanie, and that Richard brought us as well, because I just basically fell in love.
Oh,
Thank you.
well, thank you. I'm so grateful. You brought out so many things I was gonna, have in the background there. So glad you pointed them out. And Cindy, do you want to show that the one that's like
10
6
minutes or whatever it is. Yeah,
Just do the 6 minutes, because then they start talking about logistics after about, yeah,
will do.
if that's okay.
What time is it in Melbourne now?
12:23
12?
afternoon.
Mhm.
Afternoon. Yeah.
Uh-huh. So you're in the future. It's like Thursday there.
It is, yes, technically, yes. It can
Right.
even clearer show how the time is a mental construct, complete illusion.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
are now, and I am now, and we have different day, different dates, different hour. Mental
Mhm.
construct. Beautiful. Again, life is brilliant in the way
Mm.
it enables all those, constructs to show up and be practical.
Yeah. I like
By
what
the
you
way-
said in
Go ahead.
your guide meditation. How is the next thing going to show up?
Yeah.
That open, like, well, how is
I
it
don't
going to
know.
show up in this field? I like that. That was very,
Yeah.
very helpful.
Yeah, the not knowing mind is no mind.
Mhm.
And finding comfort in knowing absolutely nothing, in having no clue. I have no clue what's my next thought gonna be. Wonderful. Don't have to worry a thing. The obsession of control, the obsession of being in charge, of driving that boat is a beautiful illusion, but it really, really hurts because it's complete illusion and there is no control.
Yeah.
Life self-regulates.
I was wondering if I could just ask one more question, because every time during that Connecticut retreat and every time I've listened into talks that have been recorded, Bob always uses this 3-word phrase: omnipresence, omnipotence, and omniscience.
Yes.
And he would go into that, and that seemed to be a favorite of his. How would you elucidate that?
I love it because it brings back all the Western conditioning, that's what we define God to be.
Mhm.
God is omnipresence, omnipotence, omniscience. So we have that concepts of the big daddy somewhere up in the sky who runs our life and who will reward us in heaven or condemn us in hell. While omnipotence, omniscience, and omnipresence is just the 3 characteristics of the presence. Presence which is everywhere and everything. Omnipresence means each presence, the presence of a tree, the presence of a thought, the presence of the body, the presence of space is all the same presence. There is no division, no separation. It's omnipresence. And it is already here. You are experiencing presence. Are you not present? You are. You are that omnipresence. Same with omnipotence. He says, this omnipotence is all power. It's not my power or thought power or higher power or lower power. It's all power. It's the same power that is running the universe. It's the same power that leads the sun, that creates the galaxies, that explode the stars and implode. And it is the same power that is beating your heart. It is the same power that is looking out of your eyes. It is the same power that creates the thought and come it into existence. So omnipresence, omnipotence, all power, that is all one life that is utilizing that power in 1,000 different ways. Like Bob sometimes says, it is one essence, experiencing and expressing, vibrating into everything, vibrating into a wavelength of a light, into the wavelength of a sound, into a movement of the subatomic particles that create matter. So that's the omnipresence, omnipotence. Omniscience is all-knowing. Every knowing, the capacity for knowing, the cognizing emptiness, it all belongs to life. Life utilized the capacity for knowing through the ego by having that extensive eyesight that can see the mouse from a kilometer up above. And the capacity of knowing conceptually through human, capacity to remember and compute. This is all knowing, the capacity for knowing, all knowing utilized by life. And life in every single pattern, shape, and form, inseparable, total, the totality of knowing. And that is what we understand God to be. There's nowhere that God is not. God is everything, and there is nothing other. Like Bob, sometimes just after he's using the Christianity, he says omnipotence, omniscience, omnipresence. He also uses Hindu. He says Sat Chitananda. Same thing. Being, knowing, loving to be. All being, all knowing, and all action. Love is action.
Oh, I love that. I never thought of that parallel. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah. It is all the same. It's 1,000 ways of
Yeah.
pointing, but it's all one. It's
Terrific.
not even one. That's also a trick.
Not
It's not even one.
Yeah, one's just a concept too, right?
Absolutely. It's not even one, because as a potentiality, you can't even say it exists. Shiva, is a field of potentiality, is the space. Does space exist? It
Sure.
does and it doesn't. And then the content of space, which is the vibration, it's like a dream. Does it really exist or it doesn't? It neither exists nor it doesn't. It's a mind boggle. It is not even one. And yet it is the no thing with the potentiality of appearing as everything. Completely interconnected, completely interdependent, inseparable. Not one thing can exist without the space and without everything else, because it really is just that vibration of the whole field, like an ocean waving.
Wow. Thank you
That
so
was another
much.
guided meditation there.
Yeah. No, I think I'll give that to some of our
Thanks, Cindy. Yeah, that just seemed to bring such clarity to, I don't know, just a beautiful view of life expressing. So, mm.
So, this is where I usually call on Richard.
Oh, good. So Richard seems
See,
to,
and then he laughs, and then he'll unmute and say something brilliant.
yeah.
Watch.
Good morning, everyone. I love you all, and I really enjoyed the Dave Melanie, and particularly the guided meditation. Found it very helpful. Yesterday or the day before, Cindy recommended. I didn't remember where Kat was born or where she was from, so I decided about an hour before the show today to try to find out where she was from. So I went on my computer and found a video I put in the chat. It's a video about an hour, 10 minutes long by they're interviewed by a relationship counselor in 2020, wanting to know how the two of them got together because she's half his age. So in our society, that's very rare. And so she wanted to, and the interview was very, I only got to listen about 20 minutes before our meeting today, but I think you'll all enjoy it. It's about a love story, and not in the typical way, not in the special relationship way, but in the way more expressed by the Course in Miracles, a holy relationship. So I would recommend that if you want to take the time. If you really enjoyed the first the YouTube clip that Mel provided. You might also enjoy this. So, love you all.
So
Have a
Richard,
great day.
where was she from?
Poland, and then I don't know how she got from Poland into the Navy and which Navy she was in, but the document does show all the different ships they were in. It shows Bob's ships and her ships and how they went through their careers. And they ended up going to India when they started their spiritual growth. And of course, in different years, but they had their paths were very parallel, as you get from that video, much more so than you would think. So they were kindred spirits, apparently, that finally met in 2015 and then became a couple.
Cool. Well, since no one's speaking, I ran into a quote in his book called One Essence, and it's a quote from Nisargadatta, if I can say that right too. And it made me think of Rona, because yesterday, remember, or no, on Tuesday, you were saying something like, what happens if we all just kind of sit here and no one says anything and we all get, well, somehow this quote spoke to me because it says, the unexpected always happens. The anticipated and imagined very rarely does. So it was really cool because you know how much we go around anticipating and expecting what's going to happen next and how often does that actually happen? So it's kind of like, wow, I'm just going to stay open. And that's what another big point, staying open and curious and be open to whatever comes up because the unexpected always happens. The mind has no idea, no clue. So I don't know, I thought that was pretty cool. You will. Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, Melanie. Thank
Hi.
you. Thank you so much for this. It was amazing. It was just amazing. And, I loved her. I loved her saying there's no me and there's nothing to achieve and there's no, there's no future. There's only now. Her words, by the way, she's adorable. I could hear in the midst of her accent, I could hear some Australian accent in there as well. It was just so fun to listen to her and to watch her beautiful, joy-filled face. But her words, I know one of the interviewers said something about using words to describe, I can't remember which one, and to describe certain things that are indescribable, that are truly indescribable. And she did, but she responded with, but this is, I don't know, she didn't say fun, but she just, her words are so life-giving. And she used terms like ring the bell. And I'm like, well, you're ringing my bell. Like she was really affecting me, or this one, quite deeply. And illuminate, not illuminate, but enlightened. She talked about enlightened and kind of broke that down with Sailor Bob's influence. She had said that enlightenment is to lighten, and it made me think of lightening things up, like lighten up, Michelle. There's nothing serious going on here, so to speak. And I also found it fascinating that she said this a couple times, that she worshiped him. I'd love to get anybody's feedback on that because I know her emphasis is the oneness, is we're all magnificent. But I just thought that was kind of a fun little paradox, and I'd love to hear your feedback on that, just to be playful with it. It just struck me.
Yeah, nice. Oh, maybe Sandy, she can elucidate. Thank you, Sandy.
No, go ahead, Mel, respond, and then I'll speak.
Well, no, I'm not sure. I'll have to, I think there was she found such oneness with him in a sense. And I guess it was seeing that essence shining so through that, yeah, I know I can see what you're saying, that it seems like it's a paradox of worshiping herself in a sense, seeing herself in him shining through everything. I don't know if anybody else, I'm open. Thank you, Michelle. So good to hear your
Thank
comment.
you, Melanie.
Sandy, you want to?
Do you want to respond, Cindy? I felt like maybe you wanted to respond to what Michelle
Well,
asked.
When Michelle asked the question, the memory or the thought that came up was to go back to some of the things I've learned from Joel Goldsmith. And Joel Goldsmith has helped me to understand. He calls it the infinite invisible, which I adore. And the example he gave is of a tree. So if you have fallen madly in love with the tree in front of you, what you've done is you've created this love experience with the divine as it's currently expressing as a tree. And if you're really in that oneness, if someone cuts down the tree, or in this case, your mate dies and then there's a recognition that the love hasn't died. It just manifests in another form. So that's the way that love, and she used the word worship, but it felt like she was worshiping the divine as it was being expressed through Sailor Bob. And even in the beginning of the conversation, she stated, there are these moments where she misses his form, but she wasn't sad because he never left. So she's just in still that, knowing the divine. So that's the way that kind of manifested that kind of space for me. She gets to worship or madly love, the divine's form, and it so happened to be Sailor Bob. That's that's the way I saw it.
That's great.
Yeah, that took me in a different direction as well, from what I thought I was going to say. For me, back when I was first aware that there was this, I'll call it higher power, this no name, beautiful thing, not even a thing, right? Can't use words, but to me, as I was around a lot of Christians and they would use the word worship, but I would translate that to awe and wonder. Just awe, complete awe, speechless wonderment at life. And so maybe that's what she meant, but whatever she meant, doesn't matter, really, does it? She was just in a beautiful place with. I was talking that whole time muted.
No,
No.
I went to lower your hand and clicked the wrong button. That was
Okay.
me. I wasn't trying to shut you up, I swear.
It's okay. So I wanted to start off by saying that, Melanie, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the video, and thank you for your beautiful enthusiasm and love that you bring every time I get to see you. So I love it when you're here. I mean, yes, this was once again a wonderful finding truth everywhere. And the truth that impacted me the most was her full embrace while acknowledging she was, quote, living a dream, but her full embrace of the dream and living it and loving it, and not casting it aside or fully detaching from it, and embodying physically as well as in understanding, but just living life and in the preciousness of it and the joy of it and the the brilliance. I love that word, the brilliance, because that's not only the light, but the amazingly intricate, seemingly complicated, the way life manifests through each of us and through nature and through all of us. So that came through, I use William's words, that was transmitted to me very clearly. And I recognize it. I recognize that in myself and in others. Even if it's happening with them not being aware of it. There are many people in my life who are not of the same understanding that all of you are. And I fully enjoy them, even when they're saying something or doing something that it's not that I don't agree with it. It's like, they don't know what they're doing, but it's okay. It's like, I'm enjoying the interaction. I'm enjoying that I get to see it. So that's what I got from Kat, along with, I like that she mentioned the omnipresence, the omnipotence, and I wasn't even sure about the third word. Maybe somebody can translate that one for me. Was it omniscience?
Omniscience. It's like omniscience.
Omniscience, okay.
All
But
knowing.
we say it omniscience, okay.
Yeah.
So I liked that a lot because what it brought in remembrance to me was when I was going to say suddenly, but that's not the right word, I gradually realized the power that was within myself and became aware of a responsibility with that power. So most of life, I was just going around life doing stuff, thinking it's all, I'm just a separate person and I'm only responsible for me. But when she mentioned that, it brought back to my remembrance of the power that we each have, acknowledging that and living that in a way that has made me, if you want to call it in the character, in the dream, I don't know. Those words just don't work for me as much, but they're the only words I have. It's made me more kind, compassionate, and aware of how my vibrational field is impacting others, and to try to enter that. I think I've mentioned that before, like when somebody's coming to my house. Earlier we had painters in the house, that's why I'm in a different area. And I made sure that I was, before they even got to the door, that I was sending them love, and when people come or when I'm going out into the world, or even, I don't take my husband for granted anymore. I wake up and make sure, and I'm trying to talk here, so just bear with me. I'm just and I never listened to Sailor Bob or knew anything about Sailor Bob, But I kind of feel like that's how you walk through the world. And so when we take this all very lightly, yes, I take it lightly. I have fun with life. I'm enjoying it. I have so much joy, but I also take it seriously. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. I take it that I know that it matters somehow. And maybe that's wrong. I've heard from others that it doesn't matter, none of this matters, but I think it does. So sometimes Amy helps me at this point when I have no words. Maybe somebody knows what I'm trying to say, but that's it. I love you.
Thank you, Sandy. Love you. Richard, he'll help us out.
I've been going through the same thing, Sandy, for a number of years now. Trying to get that over thinking. I'm one of those people before the change where I went shopping to buy something. I didn't go to interface with other people. I walked in the door, I went to where I wanted to go, bought what I wanted to buy, and got out of there as quick as possible. I was always in a hurry. I didn't have time for smiles or how are you today or none of that crap. So I wasn't very loving, let me put it that way. So as I'm awakening, my consciousness is growing by the very thing you talked about. Now I'm conscious of who I'm gonna interface with in my day. So I want to be the love that I am in truth. I want to resend that love in everything I do. So when the people come to the house, to work on the house, or someone's coming to visit, I make sure that I'm in my right mind. I want to be the love. So, and that's part of my intent as a dream figure within the dream. Now, what I've done for me, I'm not saying this is true for everyone, but I've realized that I'm a dream figure in the dream. I'm observing the dream as a dreamer of the dream, and I'm watching Richard go through his dream. So Richard's having these thoughts, Richard's making these choices, and when he does, and he makes the right choices, his life is better. He's more loving. He's more compassionate. He's happier. But when he makes what I would call wrong choices or wrong-minded choices, then he's not as happy. He's not as loving. So that's what the dream is. It's already over. I've already done it, but I'm experiencing it again as if I'm doing it again for the first time. So I believe I'm making decisions. I believe I'm choosing this and choosing that, when in fact I already chose this or that in the dream. And I'm just watching the dream. I'm watching the movie of Richard. So, and that seems to help me with the kind of thoughts you were expressing. I'm not judging myself. I'm not worried about whether I'm doing the right thing or not. This is what I did in the dream, and then I'm watching it once again. So when I screw up, I laugh at it. I go, Richard, there you go again. Something to work on. So I don't know if it helps, but I understood exactly what you were talking about.
Thank you. What came to my mind while you were speaking is there are people that we all know about, humans that walked on this earth, like Jesus, Gandhi, Buddha, and it mattered. Otherwise, we wouldn't be here talking. So that's what I was trying to say. There is a power and a potence in the essence of what we all are. And I'm not walking around trying to be a character like that. I'm just being this character. And I love that Kat, the way she expressed that, the fullness of life. They used to say about Jesus, he was fully God and fully human. He was both. And that speaks to me. And, you know, he cried. I guess if somebody cut him, he bled, you know. So it's all such a wonderful, awe-inspiring trip. It's like I'm on a trip.
I watched when I watched the movie of Richard, I realized that Richard is raising his consciousness by the decisions he's making. So the dream does matter.
Yeah.
What the dream figure does in the movie, it does matter. That you're either raising your consciousness or your ability to love or not within the dream. But you need to realize that you're still in the dream. So, and to be the oneness, or to be the experience that Sarah Bob was talking about, you're just being, that's what your true essence is. So, the more you allow that beingness in your own experience, when you choose that, then the more higher your consciousness is going, and the better your dream is, and the better the characters in your dream are. So it makes sense to do that, but it's still the dream. It's, so if you want a happy dream, be the love. That's it. Just be who you are and realize you're going to make mistakes and you're going to heal them, and you're going to continue to be the love that you are until you transition out of here and into something else we don't know about.
Well, I can say one more thing if nobody has their hand raised. I don't see any hands. I'll say one more thing. She mentioned that there's no such thing as enlightenment. And yet, and I get that. Like, it's not like a zing, you know, you're enlightened. And I know that life is very different for me before I was aware of what I am. So there is something that happens. I don't know what word to put on it, but walking around completely asleep, which is what I was, and now being awake and aware, which is something different, something happens.
Well, I think
I seem to always bring up controversial topics so everybody can jump in and talk.
I'll just have one little thing. It's not the person. She would make it, you know, it's not the person that wakes up. It's
Right.
it's the awakeness shining through the person.
Okay.
That's just
Thank you.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Now you got a lot of hands.
Hey, all right. Okay, Cindy.
I was just gonna offer my current favorite word, which is realized. That's all I have.
Thank you. Pat, Patricia, hi.
Thank you. And to kind of build on what Cindy said, I am realized when I'm in the present moment, being here now. When I am awake, I'm being present. And that aliveness of just being with it's not good, not bad, it just is. And then I get lost in the movie, and then I come back. I get lost in the movie and I come back and I enter into this dance. And the best part of the dance is coming back to the now. That's all there is. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, Richard. Thank you.
The other word that came to mind was ignorance. I love the use of that word in the Eastern traditions because instead of talking about right or wrong, it talks about being ignorant, which means to me, not being aware of who you really are. And so whenever you're not aware of who you really are, you're in ignorance. That's not an insult. It's not like you're saying something good or bad or right or wrong or stupid or knowledgeable. It just means you don't know because you don't know who you really are. And so I noticed that she mentioned that in the video, and the other one that I put in the chat, also ignorance comes up from Sailor Bob. And so the idea of ignorance is I'm ignorant most of the time. I don't like to say that, but I'm not sure I really believe that. But I know what there's inventors in my mind. There are times when I act or say or think about things that don't reflect who I really am, who I really am. So I'm in ignorance when I do that. And when I look at the world and the people in the world, as I perceive them, when they don't follow my path or the path we're all on rigorously like we do, I bless them. Like he said in one of his videos, Jesus said, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. So I like to say, forgive them, Holy Spirit, because they know not who they are. So, and so that's much easier than judging them as right or wrong or bad or evil or good or evil or, it's just they don't know yet who they are in truth. So my only job is to love them. And when we connect as one at the level of spirit, hopefully the light will shine in their consciousness to a point where they begin to wake up. And so I tell myself every day, don't be ignorant today.
Yeah, I think doesn't Francis Lucille go, consciousness playing the game of ignorance. So maybe they are enjoying being ignorant for a while, but then it'll, just happening. It's okay. Thanks. Patricia? Yeah. Yay.
Thank you. I was just thinking about something that Rupert said one time, where he's moving away from the concept of non-duality into the world of peace, being peaceful. And when he's peaceful, it's all the same. It all is. He is in the isnness, in his peace. And I think I find that quite interesting, intellectually, and also in my experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm back.
Yay.
I've been getting the message really strongly that with what Patricia just said, that there isn't any particular religion, way, path, non-duality, this, that, all of those are structures. And I just need to be open to truth. And it presents itself in a myriad of ways. And this structure, when I try to fit, the Course in Miracles, the non-dual, when I try to make them all fit, that's not the game anymore for me. The game is just be open to the moments of truth, and they are there. They're readily available, which I love. And I don't have to pick a way.
That's great. I love that openness, curiosity, and we're all on a different, it's coming through in all different ways. So just being available to all of that. That's so cool. Thank you. And Bill.
I guess what makes sense to me, how each of us picks a word, picks a point, even a word is like we pick something and it just seems to bring us closer, closer to that moment. I just see that I can't imagine, and again, that's my limitation, staying in the moment continually. I just get closer, closer, and then I'm there and I'm not. I'm there and I'm not. It just seems that that's what happens. I do my best. I love it when I'm there. And it's like Eckhart Tolle talks about that gap before I go off chasing a word. But I know sometimes that gap lasts a long time. I just love, and whether it's peace or my kid or the dog or, I just filled with, I'm not thinking about anything else. It's I died and gone to heaven. But then I get off in the wilderness and oh, that word. Oh, that. Okay. I just got lost. Okay. So we have that word, whether it's, and for me, I got a new dose of Bob and Cat. What's wrong with now? And then the next sentence, I saw something even more. If you don't think about it, well, it's not the think about it. I saw if you, this separate self doesn't think about it, because that's what creates the separate self anyway. So it's like, if you don't. So again, what it just I seem to, it's when I get reflected back to myself. And I think I've mentioned that Carl Jung has this, that when someone tells you they love you, they only are saying two things about you. And I love that because it's really what you're projecting onto them that they now are giving you back. The things that I'm not willing to accept, the positive shadow, so to speak, or the negative shadow that I can learn and grow and stretch and be the magnificence that I am. I could never talk that way before, but it's like learning a new language of feeling, of being. And then I go silent. And that seems like the ultimate language. That kind of pause. So
Thank you, Bill. And you're never not now, even when the mind is off on a tangent, you're still now. And it's just awareness is just off on, so you're never not, you're never, I think she made a big point. You're never not awake, put it that way. It's just a thought arising. It's just something taking. Anyway, I can't articulate it very well. I think you know what I'm trying to say.
I love listening to you. I don't even have to make sense of the word. I get the flow.
Thank you, guys.
And you're right in that moment. I can feel it, and that's what I go. Yeah, whatever it is.
Well, that hour flew. Can I say I love you, Melanie?
Yes.
And I'm
love you all.
so grateful. And if anyone wants to hang out for a few more minutes, it's not true that I was bothered, but a song showed up out of nowhere this morning in my space. And it's the Bee Gees of all people. Didn't realize until I looked it up. And I had to play it this morning and realized that it's a great description of truth or love as the divine. And in the last few minutes, the inspiration came up to play it after I hit the stop record button. It may just be for this being here, but perhaps somebody else will be touched by it if you have a few more minutes. But mostly I just want to say this is awesome. This was awesome. All right. Let me do this. Stop the record.